All right, guys, what is up? This is Breakfast with the Brand, the #1 podcast in the world for entrepreneurs and leaders who want to build industry-leading brands. I am your host, Junior Frederick, and I have with me, as usual, the man himself, Mr. Bobby Stealth. Bobby, how you doing? What's up? Can't hear you, Bobby.
I'm doing great, Junior. I'm doing absolutely phenomenal this morning. How about yourself?
Doing great as well. I'm planning. I'm in a planning mood today. I'm in a strategic planning mood today. So, but I'm good, man. I was just organizing a couple of books. I always have books right next to me. So I have a couple of them, maybe like 3 or 4 here. Stuff that I'm gonna dive into over the weekend, and I'm just feeling amazing. It's actually Friday. So, guys, put it in the chat. How do you feel on this phenomenal Friday? Like Bradley says, shout out to Bradley. Definitely. So, Bobby, what's up, man? I know you normally do your morning routine.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so today's morning routine was running. So
Okay.
I did 3 miles this morning at about 24 minutes and 59 seconds. Now, that's not very fast, not very slow either, but my goal is 22 minutes. So I started out like getting back into this about 6 to 7 months ago, and my 3 mile time then was like 29 something. So I've shaved about 4 to 5 minutes. So that's pretty good. And in about 3 to 6 months. So that's what I did this morning. And it's what made me, what I was thinking about, at least as I was running and as I was getting through things, is like adding a 0 is nothing more than increasing your focus, increasing your intensity, and increasing your productivity. Focus, intensity, and productivity. Because as we grow our businesses, we have to add a 0 to our investments. We have to add a 0 to our revenue. We have to add a 0 to ourselves. And as I was running and I'm on the treadmill and I'm like, okay, I'm hitting it. I'm getting faster. And I was like, oh, my legs are stronger. My lungs are stronger. All of these things are better. So what's it going to take to get to the next level, you know? And it's just going to take more of what I've been doing. More running, more breathing, more training, just more focus, more intensity, and more productivity. So it was a really good experience this morning.
All right, man. I did this morning. I did legs. So I trained legs this morning.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I did. I did a little bit of cardio first, and then I got into a little bit of weights. But yeah, that's what I did this morning, and it's very interesting, like the consistency game, you know, like you put it, because when you're working out or when you're doing anything, whether it's business, whether it's training, whether it's practicing a new skill, for the first 30 days, you don't really see anything. Isn't that interesting? So you don't really see anything until like 100 days, I think. So it's 100 days of consistency or nothing. And it's like that for so many things in business.
Yeah.
It's like that for so many things in business. It's like that for sales. It's like that for branding. It's like that for posting content. Like you can't just post one post, you know, for the week, or one post per day for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then expect to get clients. Like it doesn't work that way. So it always comes with a degree of consistency, and that's just how it goes.
Yeah. You know, as I'm thinking about today's topic, and we won't reveal it until we get back from the break, but I'm thinking that a lot of individuals are experiencing that. They're experiencing the consistency piece. How to stay in the fight, how to stay focused, how to keep on going. Because I share this with people all the time. It's a conversation me and you had, Junior, about brute force. I remember texting Shaan one day and I was like, man, Shaan, as much as we work out, you should call us brutes in suits, because all we do is work out and get, you know, suited up to go serve the people. And when we come back from the break, today's topic, I'm not going to give it away right now, but it's around how you can stay consistent, how you can keep your focus and really start applying brute force to those things that need to get done without breaking yourself, without losing your passion, without falling out of love with what you do.
I said Shaan right east. I'm proud. I said Shaan right east. Leadership is not the brand they made for us. Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back. 20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple. He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business. We are the brand. Some people say, Shaan, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes.
Man. So we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back, and I'm so excited to introduce today's topic. So I'm thinking brutes in suits. Now, normally brutes are guys, but you could think of a brute as simply someone that is aggressive, someone that is really going after it. But the concept that we're going to discuss today is the art of intense consistency. The art of intense consistency. So you've heard Shaan say before that consistency plus intensity creates invincibility, right? And that's what we need in business. We need to be invincible in the marketplace. Our brands need to be invincible and impregnable as we walk through the marketplace. So as we talk about the art of intense consistency, let's first dissect this. Let's isolate intensity, because there's different levels of intensity. When I was intense in my track training, because I ran track in high school, I did soccer and stuff, like that was a certain degree of intensity. And then I got in the military where I'm running for my life, and that's another level of intensity. So I'm running in both instances, but the degree of intensity is far higher. So Junior, if you could discuss with us a few areas in your life where you find yourself needing to be intense, like you have to be forceful, aggressive, and really engaged.
Yeah, I mean, Bobby, there's there's so many areas that I can think of. Now it's so interesting. You have to understand like where I come from, and I was having this discussion with somebody about 2 days ago. I think they live in California. So where I come from, just to give you some context for the people looking, I come from an island, eastern part of the Caribbean, about 276 square miles. And I was talking to somebody from Texas, and I said, I wonder how many times my country could fit into the state of Texas. I said it must have been like 1,000 times, at least 100 times. I'm sure at least 100 times. So when you talk about brute force, I need you to understand that, like, bro, before the internet, people from my country, like, we have limited opportunity. Think about it. We're a small nation, small country, and the opportunity is very limited. Now, when you get into a situation where you're in that sort of that hero's journey, how many of you have seen the movie? It's the movie by Will Smith, The Pursuit of Happiness. You've seen that movie, Bobby?
I have.
Where he's walking around, he has the big machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a big machine, like an X-ray machine or something, and he's going through the train and he's going through the motion, and he ends up homeless, and he's with his son. And I remember the scene when they were in the bathroom, and he had to sleep in the bathroom, then get ready to go and present in front of some investors the next day. Like, when you talk about brute force, let me tell you something. I came to a point in my life some time ago where I realized that people like me, and when I say people like me, I mean people who come from where I come from. The only way that we're gonna make it is through just straight brute force. Like nobody's gonna give me anything. Nobody's gonna say, Junior, I built this for you or whatever. I came to the point where I realized that if I'm gonna get something, I have to go out and I have to take it.
Yeah.
I have to take it.
You
And
know,
I think the sooner people realize that, like the better off they'll be. Because let me tell you something, it's not easy, but I've realized that when I be aggressive and when I attack my goals, that things start to happen. Things start to happen. So I would say when it comes to business, absolutely, absolutely brute force. There's a saying in sales. So we say that you sell like a lion, but you act like a lamb. You sell like a lion, but you act like a lamb. And that's a lesson. So you have to have that very nice balance of aggressive patience and all of the phenomenal things that we talk about.
mhm.
So brute force, absolutely, man.
No, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. And Bradley put in there St. Lucia is about
Bradley
1,101
Hill. Bradley
times smaller
Hill.
than Texas.
There you go.
So
I know that I could fit into it at least 1,000 times. I told
yeah,
him at least 1,000 times.
that's wild to me.
Yeah.
But what that also makes me think about is how fortunate a lot of our viewers are. You know, I know we have viewers from all around the world, and many of them are in the US. And when we talk about opportunities, it's like we can literally drive without passports to about 50 different state territories, you know, and there's opportunity in each of those states. We can fly within intercontinental for us to 5 different or 50 different states and no passport required, and make money and make sales and meet people, and they all speak the same language. You know, there's a lot of countries where with it, or continents rather, that within the country or the continent there are multiple languages spoken, different dialects, and people don't necessarily understand one another. So it's so interesting that we here in the continental US can go to just about anywhere and speak one language. Everybody gets it, no passports required, and we've all gone through a very similar education system and whatnot. So I say that to say, when the competition, so to speak, is what you're focusing on, I think that's when we get misplaced. I think brute force is best understood by understanding you, because it's you versus you. And I think some people look at competition more like, oh, I got to beat the next guy, or I got to do this and I got to do that. But here, what I've learned is that brute force is about being better than you were yesterday and doing more of the things you know you need to do today. So there's a saying called carpe diem, and that seize the day. You know, do everything in one day that can be done that day, saving nothing for tomorrow that is due today. You know, that's like the whole embodiment of it. And most people, I think, struggle, and I know I did when I was first getting started in business and trying to get my feet wet. Like, I struggled in doing all the things I knew I was supposed to do. I did some of them, I did a lot of them, but I didn't do all of them. And that's where I think the brute force comes in. The brute force says, okay, I made 50 calls, but all the calls required is 100. I did 50. I smiled after I did all 50, but that's not the requirement. The brute force, the you doing what you have to do, says 51, 52, 60, 63, 70, 75, 88, 99, 100. And then that, now you can boom, put the phone down and move on to the next thing. Beaten and a bit bruised, but it's okay, because you might be moving on to something that, one, you may be more suited for, two, it's something that you're easier at doing. And that's why a lot of people recommend do the tough things first, get them out of the way, like knock them out, because once that's done, the next thing is a little bit easier. So when we talk about intensity and consistency, so Junior, I know you say every day you wake up, if you're above ground, it's a good day. Are there any days you don't feel like getting up? Like you're just in the bed, alarm clock goes off, and you're just like, consistency, who needs it? And you just want to roll over.
Bobby, I would say that I have not felt like that for an extremely long time. So I don't really feel like that. I know I don't feel like that. I just get up and I just do what I have to do.
Mm,
So I wouldn't say that. I mean, in a circumstance where I mean, listen, like people get extremely tired. Like we've all had those long nights. So obvious, so in a circumstance like that, obviously you get up and you're like, well, like I had a long night. I don't really want to get up. But I think for me, the consistency has been there for so long that I just never think about it. So I'll give you a quick story about me. One day, Bobby, a couple years ago, I quit.
mm,
So I quit. All right. And when I say I quit, I mean like one day I was just sitting and I'm like, yo, this is so frustrating. I'm like, you know what? I don't need to do this. What am I? I'm like, and guys, this is where the voices in your head come from, right? Or where that comes into play. It's like, okay, well, I look outside, Bobby. So I'm sitting here. I think I was literally in the same space that I'm right now, maybe in a different, slightly different space. But I said to myself, why do I have to go through all of this frustration? And put a one in the chat if you could relate. Like you're building a business, it's frustrating. You're not making sales, you're not getting clients, you're not moving forward, you're not moving the needle. And then at some point, I was like, you know what? I turn outside, Bobby. I look outside. The sun was beaming, coming through my window.
yeah.
Okay, it looked like things were phenomenal. The sky was blue. It was bright. I live like 10 minutes away from the beach. I looked at the I looked at the stuff I was doing. I said to myself, yo, why do I have to go through all of this? I don't need any of this. All right. I don't need any. I could just go, I could just chill. I'll go to the store, maybe get some ice cream, go by the beach,
Mhm.
relax, maybe, go in the sea, etc., etc. Basically, I said I didn't need to do this. I didn't need to go through the trials and tribulations of building a business. And so I quit. I said to myself, forget this. I got up, I left the computer, I walked out, and I could remember I went to watch some television, okay, and I started watching a series. So I'm chilling on the couch. I've officially quit. I'm
Yeah.
chilling on the couch. I'm watching a series, and then the thing stops. The ad comes on, right? So the ad comes on. The ad start playing. So then I got up. I said, okay, well, what do I have to do next now? So I started walking back, and I started thinking, well, what do I do next? What do I do next? And I started working, and I said to myself, hold on, didn't I just quit? I said I just quit like 10 minutes ago. What am I doing? I'm not supposed to be working. So lesson of the story is, Bobby, I forgot that I quit.
Mm,
And then that's when I started to realize that even if I try to stop, even if I try to quit, like it's in me. Like it's not on me, it's in me. See
yeah.
what I'm saying? So I can't quit. In the same way, when you ask me the question, like, do you ever feel like not getting up out of bed? Even if I didn't, I still would. Because that's just who I am. I can't just sit in the bed and do nothing. Even if I made the decision to do that, my body would still get up and get out. So the answer is no. Like it's not possible for me. No.
I love this. I love this direction, Junior, because a lot of times perspective is all we need. I think a lot of people are just like you. I think most people would say, sure, there are days that I may not feel like it, but if I don't do it, then what else am I going to do? Like that becomes the next question. Though, well, what else am I going to do with my time? And then before they know it, they find themselves doing what they were doing. And here's the part that I don't think is contemplated enough. You lose momentum every time you quit. Now, granted, you'll go back to it and you'll get back into it, but let's say you quit for a day, for a week. Maybe you missed 2 or 3 days and then you got back to it. The momentum has to be regained at this point. You got to get things built back up and you've got to start all over again to a degree. Now, granted, you're coming back in with a little more wisdom, a little more experience, so it's less painful, but the idea and the moral of the story is this: if you're just going to get back to it anyway, why quit in the first place? Like, why stop? I think it was Winston Churchill who said, if you're going through Hades, keep going. Just keep going, because you're going to either stay there or leave. So if you're going through it, why stop? Why stay there any longer than you have to? Just get on the other side. So one of the things that I think about intensity and consistency to create that invincibility with the brand is that we have to know our story. We got to know our origin brand story, and then we've got to be true to that. And I think being intense about yourself is something that isn't practiced. You know how? So Shaan taught me this. He said, every day I wake up, I look in the mirror and I ask myself, are you the person? That's a degree of intensity. That's a degree of brand intensity, personal brand intensity. So if you went to sleep with the TV on watching The Simpsons of some, you know, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but if you know you needed to get up in the morning, you had things you had to do, and your goal was to get up at 5 a.m., 4 a.m., 6 a.m., and you got up at 7 or 8, and you went to sleep watching television with a tub of your favorite food next to you, and you go look in the mirror and you ask yourself, am I the person? That's intense. That's intense because you're like, I can't be the person and have done that. Like that doesn't align with my morals, values, and principles. And those are the things that I think we have to do more of, because it's not about, oh, I'm a bad person. It's not about, oh, I made a mistake. It's not about, oh, I'm not perfect. That's not the point. The point is, did you confront the failure or the shortcoming? Did you apply pressure to the standard? Are you holding the standard that you placed on yourself? And if we don't hold the standards that we place on ourselves, then it's very hard to be intense about what we're trying to build brand wise. And if there's no brand intensity, it's very hard to have brand consistency. And with no brand consistency, it's very hard to be a dominant brand in the marketplace. So as we think about this and we get ready to go to our next break, is there anything that you do regularly, Junior, to check your personal standards, to keep yourself accountable?
Yeah. So from time to time, I will take a step back and just sort of analyze everything. That's something that I do regularly, like every month. Like I just take a step back, you know, you stop the activity and you just analyze what you're doing. Like, is what I'm doing making sense? Am I the person who I need to be or I want to be? So that's what I do. I just do sort of like a self-analysis, and then I make sure that, okay, I'm on the right track or I need to adjust. It's just like any business. It's just like any journey. At some point, you have to stop and check the map. At some point, if you're on a journey, which most of us are, right? You're on the journey to building your dreams, building your dream business, you know, building your dream life. At some point, you have to stop and you have to open the map and see, like, okay, where am I on this map?
Yeah.
Am I going in the wrong direction here? Am I still on the path? Okay. And then if you're not on the path, how do you get back on the path? And if you are, then keep going. You know, keep going. And that could be for anything. That could be for your health. So I know so many of us at the beginning of this year, we made a decision to better our health, to work out a little bit more, to eat a little bit better. And maybe something happened. Maybe you picked up an extra shift. If you're still 9 to 5, maybe you decided to go in a different direction. If you're an entrepreneur, and maybe you didn't have time to work out the way that you used to. Maybe you no longer work out. Maybe you no longer work out with the same intensity. Maybe you don't eat healthy like when you started during the year. So you have to take a little step back, see where you are on that map, so to speak, and then just autocorrect or adjust and go from there.
Wow. I look forward to seeing where we take this when we come back from the break. But if you guys are enjoying this so far, put some flames in the chat. Let us know if we're on base, if we're going too hard on a Friday. Like if you're like, oh my goodness, self-accountability on a Friday, I'm trying to party. Go ahead and put that in the chat too. And we can definitely liven things up and get you all riled up for the weekend.
Custom Model used to spit out numbers, and Mike Tyson would throw a combination and always knock out his enemy. When Mike Tyson lost Custom Model, he lost the title. Shaan Rais is your Custom Model, your Tyson. What I'm gonna give you is a marketing system that's gonna knock your competition out. So the 501 marketing system is a combination: jab, 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 uppercut, hook. I'm gonna teach you how to give, surprise your ideal client, and then ask for the value that you're worth. And you're gonna get it every single time. I'm gonna teach you how to communicate in a crowded space, in your client's language that's gonna slice through the noise in the market and touch their inner souls and make them open their wallets. It is said that marketing It's helping your ideal client open their wallet and take their money out. I'm gonna show you how to do this in 5 simple steps. So when you're young, mommy tells you to play nice. Play nice, Timmy. Let all of the other kids play too. But in business, it's not about playing nice. In business, it's about winning. It's about adding multiple zeros to your revenue. Now, of course, your staff wins. And when you win, other people win. However, when it comes to competition, you absolutely must dominate. You can't play for participation, and you can't play just to get along or just to get by, because business is serious. Business will help you to change the world, or the world will change you. Your people will either win or your people will lose based on your level of leadership, what you're willing to do, what you're willing to sacrifice, and how much you know about dominating.
Man. So we are back. We are back. And as I thought over the break, I was like, it's Friday. It's Friday. Let's talk finance. Let's talk revenue. Let's talk money. Like, let's bring in the money, because a lot of people want that. Like, you come to Breakfast with the Brand, not only to build a brand, the character, like all that stuff is great. I know. But we also come for the revenue. How does all of this apply, right? So what me and Junior are about to do now with the second half of the segment is really unpack how all of this is connected to the money you're trying to make, so that you can have the income, which creates the impact and provides the independence, right? So if you're trying to be intense and you're trying to be consistent, trying is not going to be in your vocabulary, because either you do or you don't. So now we can have this conversation about, okay, I'm done trying. I'm doing now. It's happening. So if it's happening, that's where the brute force comes in. So I want you to take a second and think about your number. What did we do last quarter? Or what did we do this week? What did we do? What's on the books for today? It's Friday. What's on the books for today? When we talk about brute force, we mean kicking the door into your future. Like, imagine there was a door and it was closed, and on the other side of the door was your revenue, your future, your income, impact, independence. Brute force says you kick in the door and you get to the other side by all ethical means necessary. So when you wake up in the morning and you look in the mirror, you should also have a revenue number. I know I do. And guess where it's at? Posted somewhere on my wall. Who has a vision board? Put like a 1 in the chat if you have a vision board. Like, if you don't have a vision board, then what we talked about in the first segment won't make sense. Some people are like, oh, this intensity, oh, brute force, 100 calls. Like, no. 100 calls is when you say, I'm closing X $1,000 today, and I'm not getting off the call until it's done. That's where the brute force comes from, because it's like, it's not done. I'm 100 in, it's not done. I'm 200 in, it's not done. And you keep going. So Junior, now that we're moving into the revenue piece, the action piece, the execution piece, what are some insights that you would like to share about getting results? Because that's what gets revenue, results. What do you have to say about getting results?
I'll say the results you want don't care about the excuses you make. The results you want don't care about the excuses you make. So if you want something, you just have to figure it out. That's all it is. You have to figure it out. So that's always been my perspective on that. As far as results are concerned, people get paid for results. So the results you want don't care about the excuses you make.
Right.
So it's all about taking full responsibility. If you say you want something, take full responsibility for it and go out and figure it out. And if you don't have it, it means that you haven't earned it. And that's the way I think about that.
And that, I think, is where it's not even a think. I know, because I've been there. Like, I've done this multiple times over. So the 400% revenue growth year after year after year, it came from a realization. I'm going to share something with you. Put a 1 in the chat if I can give you a secret. A secret to Bobby Jackson's success. Now, obviously, a part of it is the brand. Like, I've been here for quite some time, so they've taught me so much. But put a 1 in the chat if you want to know one of my secrets to success. And I'll keep it to myself. Don't worry. If I don't see a 1 in the chat, I'll keep it to myself. Okay, so I got a 1 in the chat. Got a few 1s in the chat. A secret to my success is understanding that failure is a possibility. A lot of people say failure is not an option. Failure is not an option. I'm like, yes, it is not an option, but it's a possibility. And it becomes a very real reality if you think it's impossible. And now you got to pay very close attention to what I'm saying here. If you wake up in the morning and you say to yourself, I'm going to be a millionaire and there's no way it's not going to happen for me, what incentive do you have to execute? There's no incentive, because in your mind you believe I'm going to be a millionaire no matter what. Like, no matter what I do, no matter what I don't do. And that perspective and mindset I have found does not work. I have the same mindset. That's why I said it's a secret, because I had to change my mindset and I flipped it 180, 360 degrees. I said, I am predispositioned. I am dispositioned to fail. 90% of people that do what I'm doing right now will fail. If I don't do everything in my power to succeed, failure is my reality. That is a mindset shift. That says every day I wake up, failure is, the odds are stacked against me. This is the reality. This is the most likely outcome. So now Bobby has to say, every day is alchemy. Every minute is alchemy. Every second is transmutation. How can I turn energy into results? Energy into results. Problems into pebbles. How can I make molehills, mountains into molehills? Like, it's all about figuring out how to creatively get to the next point on the map. And I think that mindset will greatly improve your execution, because it improved mine. Because now you're not saying to yourself what most people say, which is, oh, failure is not an option. Now you're saying failure is the most likely outcome. And the only way it is not an option is if I stack the odds in my favor. And the only way you do that is through brute force, intensity, execution, and dare I say, controlled aggression. Like, you got to attack. What do you think about that, Junior?
Yeah, I saw this famous, not a story, but I saw this video with Elon Musk. When he was starting SpaceX, somebody asked him, this is past, after SpaceX was already created. So they asked him, they said, when you were starting SpaceX, what was the likelihood that you believed that it would fail? He said it was very likely that we would fail, like 90% chance that we would fail. So he said, why did you do it? He says, well, somebody has to do it. And then he says, okay, so based on where you guys are right now, what is the likelihood that you believe you're going to fail? Like, you've already built, you're making billions of dollars, you're getting launching stuff, etc. And Musk says, not very likely. When he said that, my interpretation of that is, this is a guy who analyzed the risk, and he consciously did something that he believed well, very well might fail.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's like me going into the jungle in Africa or the Amazon, into a place where nobody comes out alive. And before I head out, Bobby's asking me, Junior, what is the likelihood that you'll return? The likelihood that I return is less than 1%. But I'm going anyways because somebody has to go. So I say this to say that I believe in truth. So I don't believe in being oblivious to the truth. If you're doing something that's going to fail or is most likely to fail, it's better that you know that, so that you could put measures in place to counteract or to increase the likelihood of you not failing.
Mhm.
So I agree with that, Bobby. Now, when you say brute force, I want to also strike a nice balance because I'm a 99C. For the regular person, what that means is in leadership chess test language, I'm a king. And king is all about strategy. Kings move when they have to. So brute force, yes. So brute force is high D. High D is brute force. So I'm a C and a D, both high C, high D. So brute force, yes, but strategy first. So strategy, then we move. We strategize, then we move.
Yeah.
Sun Tzu said, the only way to guarantee your victory is to ensure that you could never be defeated.
Yeah.
The only way to guarantee your victory is to ensure that you could never be defeated. We also know that working hard at working hard will keep you hard at work. Working hard and working smart, you hardly have to work. Let me say that again. Working hard at working hard will keep you hard at work. Working hard and working smart, you hardly have to work. Now, this is not my original thing. I heard this from one of my other coaches, but it's so true. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yes, brute force. Yes, work hard. But we have to take the time to strategize first. So you spend, but the key is not to get stuck in paralysis by analysis. You strategize, then you move very, very quickly, like boom, boom, boom. Strategize, you figure out the best path, and then you move on that. And when you move, you execute with brute force and with lightning consistency, and you just strike like a bolt of lightning
Mm-hmm.
when you decide to finally move. But before that, Bobby, I want you to picture like you're a Marine, okay?
Yeah.
So I've seen movies with Marines where the Marines might be in the, let's say, in the water, in the rivers and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and they have that thing on their head. I don't know what you guys call it, but
Yeah.
they're just chilling. They're just there and they're just chilling, right? So imagine, Bobby, you're going after your business goals. You have your goals in your sight, and you're just chilling, waiting for the right time, strategizing, analyzing the field, analyzing the forest, analyzing the environment. You're looking at, okay, how many enemies on this side, how many enemies on that side? What is the likelihood of that guy coming? What is the likelihood of this guy coming? You're analyzing everything. You're taking in the data. You're making the right decision. You're taking time to make the right decisions, and then you wait. But when you finally decide to come above that water and strike, you strike with absolute lightning bolt
Yeah.
precision, consistency, and you just go for it. And that's sort of the same thing that I envision, or the same way that I think when it comes to business. So I strategize, but when it's time to move, like nothing can stop me because I've already thought out my decisions.
Yeah.
So another important thing that I've been thinking about a lot is sequencing. So when I say sequencing, like in what path or in what sequence are you performing your moves? You can't do move number 3 in move number 5. You can't do move number 2 in move number 7.
Right.
If you do the right thing at the wrong time, you get the wrong results.
Yeah.
If you do the right thing at the wrong time, you get the wrong results. So there has to be a certain sequencing as well. So boom, don't just brute force. You think, you put things in place, you establish the right sequence, boom, and then you act.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when you act, you really act. Okay, so when you finally decide to act, man, you really act. And that's the way I think it should be done.
Yes, I completely agree. And I want to add another word in there: persistence. Persistence. I think that as we build businesses and build ourselves and we go through these processes, you're going to find yourself tired. You're going to find yourself a little discouraged. You're going to find yourself a little just disinterested. Like it's not going to be exciting, right? And that's where the persistence comes in. And Robert Greene talks about this in his book Mastery. So he talks about there's this stage in everyone's development where you almost feel like you've plateaued, or you feel like you're trying to achieve something and you're just stuck. And he's like, that's when you got to let it go. So that's why I love that Junior added that balance. So for me, when I'm balancing something out and I'm like hitting it, because I am a Marine, I'm 12 years Marine. So it's like I'm indoctrinated through and through. So I have a certain mindset when I execute. So I make decisions, I make them quickly, and then I execute furiously. So there comes a time when you're executing, you're getting results, and then boom, you hit this wall. And when you hit the wall, you're like, what's up? Like, I was just getting results and they were coming in rapid, furious. What's going on now? The revenue might have been good. Everything was coming in. You were making sales, the calls, people were picking up, you were setting appointments, and then crickets. Like, wait, I'm doing the same thing. What now? And what I've learned about persistence is persistence means that you keep your focus, but realign your efforts. Now, that's just one perspective. Persistence is about keeping your focus and realigning your efforts. So let's say I'm persistent about building a business. I'm building. As I'm building my business, I'm focusing my efforts on sales, and then I hit a wall. Persistence says, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to stay focused on building the business, but I'm going to realign from sales to strategy. I realign my efforts from sales to strategy. Okay, what strategy can I use to get more sales? Or let's say I move from strategy to systems. What system can I put in place to build out the business further? So persistence is a matter of realigning efforts while maintaining focus. And that's something that I found very important. And another way before we go to the break that you can put it is, as the captain of the ship, you can change the sails, but never the destination. If you said, I'm going here, you can switch the sail this way, switch it that way. You can row, you can go around, but you got to get to the destination originally set out. So persistence has a element of flexibility. All right. Thanks, Junior.
There's slow growth, and then there's scale. There's incremental growth, and then there's exponential growth. What I want to talk to you about is adding a zero to you and experiencing exponential scale. Incremental growth says 1 + 1 is 2. Exponential growth says 1 + 0 is 10. Incremental growth says 2 + 2 is 4. Exponential growth says 5 + 0 is 50. Guys, listen, when you add a zero to you, you can add a zero to the marketplace. You can add a zero to the value that you bring. So you can add a zero to your family, add a zero to your legacy. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about incremental, we're talking about exponential. I always say that business is a spiritual game. Just imagine when you combine your skills, your values, your abilities, your talents to something bigger than you, something greater than you, something like the power of exponential. That is adding a zero. Add a zero to your competence. Add a zero to your confidence. This is about adding a zero in your life, your value, your industry, and your mission. Let's grow. In brand clarity, exactly what you're going to get is what it sounds like. Clarity for your brand. What is your color? What is your logo? What is your unique value proposition? Who are you speaking to? Why? How should you speak to them? How should I position myself? That's what you're going to learn in brand clarity. You need other people to have the same clarity on your brand that you do. But this is the gap. If you don't have clarity on your brand, then no one else is going to have clarity on your brand either. It's like messaging. Your message sounds clear to you, but is your end user receiving the value that you're trying to provide? I guarantee you that after you go through brand clarity, they will, and so will you. And that's how you'll scale your brand.
Man, Junior, I'm having a lot of fun today. I hope you are just as enthusiastic as me. Like, I'm super, super humbled this morning to be coming before the people and talking about just intensity, talking about consistency, invincibility. And as I was listening to Shaan on this last commercial, He was talking about scaling your brand, scaling your brand. So as we wrap up this segment, I've got some things that are still connected to revenue, but also connected to the brand. So when you do this right, in my experience, when you do this right, here's what it looks like. And then I'm gonna get Junior's take on this. You want to intensely brand yourself first. What do I mean? Mind, body, spirit. Mind, read the right books, watch the right documentaries, introduce your mind to the right information. Body, eat well, eat better, eat less, work out more, drink water, cut out anything that is done in excess of moderation. Spirit. Now, you can think about spirit in many different ways. The way I'm intending to talk about it today is conviction, you know, just knowing your convictions. What moves you? What compels you? What pulls you? What do you know is right for you? And honoring it. When we don't honor our convictions, like when we know and we sense and we feel and we go against those inner voices and those knowings and those speakings, it's very hard to be authentic. So one of the things that I've learned is mind, body, spirit, intensity with the brand. Once you scale the brand intensity wise, then the consistency piece comes in. Make a social contract and do not break it. Best of your abilities. Now, I'll give you this much. You're going to break it. Like if you're grinding, you're going to say, I'm going to show up every day at this time, rain, sleet, heck, or snow. There's going to be a day where you're going to do your best to show up. The power's going to go out. Your laptop's going to die. Alien is going to come into your home and take all of your electronics. Like that, it's going to happen. And you're going to be like, oh my gosh. Now, why do I say that? I say that because it's it's honoring the commitment that builds the confidence and builds the character. Keeping the commitment is what builds the relationship. So I'll say that again, like honoring the commitments, showing up, making the social contract and committing yourself to it, like honoring the commitment is what builds the character. And fulfilling the commitment, actually showing up and executing it is what builds the relationship, in my experience. Both of these are required for you to have a strong brand in the marketplace. You are going to need the intestinal fortitude to actually carry it out and the character to ethically show up for the people. And the relationship developed is what's going to create the know, like, and trust factor for people to want to do business with you. So when you combine that social contract piece with the intense development of the brand, and the social contract, by the way, is the consistency. When you consistently show up and serve and you consistently do the things that you're supposed to do for yourself and your brand, you are then positioned in the marketplace as an invincible brand, an invincible personal brand leader. And that has been my experience. So I'd love to get Junior's take on how he thinks about branding in terms of intensity, consistency, invincibility, and how that helps generate revenue.
So, Bobby, brand. I think brand is all about consistency. Number one. So, if you have no consistency, you have no brand. The reason I could go to, let's say, New York and experience McDonald's and then go to Japan and feel safe eating McDonald's is because of consistency. I know what to expect. So once you don't have consistency, then you don't really have a brand. And if you don't really have a brand, there's nothing really to talk about. Now, there's also a caveat with that, meaning that your brand evolves. I believe in evolution of brands. I believe that people change, people grow, things change, situations changes. I believe that as long as you can manage that relationship with your audience, then you should be fine. For example, you might have an influencer, let's say, going live every single day at 7 a.m. and stuff happens. They cannot do it at 7 a.m. Maybe they have a new kid, maybe they move to a different place in the States. something happened and they cannot be there at 7 a.m. for whatever reason, I think it's okay to say that. I think it's okay to say, hey, we normally do this at 7 a.m., but due to such and such circumstance, we cannot do that 7 a.m. anymore. Or the brand is moving and shaking and shifting and going in a different direction, and now we're going to be doing this instead. I think it's cool to say that. I think it's cool to evolve, and I think people should evolve as we all should. We're all here for growth. So I'm growing, you're growing, the audience is growing. And as you grow, your perspective changes, and it's okay to change. Like, change is okay, but there are certain things that should remain consistent. Like, who you are should remain consistent at your core. What you stand for, what you value should remain consistent most of the time, because people's values do change as they learn more and as they grow more. Um, but if you stay true to who you are, if your consistency is with your authenticity, then I think you'll be fine.
I agree. I agree. And we've got about 60 seconds before we get out of here, guys. So here's what I like for you all to do in the chat. If you could put one thing that you learned from today's segment in the chat, or one question that you have, it would be an absolute game changer if you put in a goal that you plan to hit today and hit it. Today we talked about intensity, we talked about consistency, we talked about evolution, evolving. So again, as you're engaging, as you're using the chat, go ahead and put one of three things in there. One, what you learned. Two, a goal that you plan to hit today. Or three, a question that you may have for us that you want us to address in our next segment. But this is a very interactive experience. Our goal is to give you exactly what you came for, and we do that best by engaging with you and finding out what you want to hear about, what you want to know more about. And actually, Junior, if I can borrow a minute, I know we're at 9. I want to borrow a minute here. Me and Junior were talking on the back end about relevance. So please let us know what things are relevant to you. Like, we want to bring you relevant information. We're thinking of talking more about, real world events, more about real world brands, and like just dissecting them, analyzing them. So any feedback that you guys have on what you would like to hear more about, what things are relevant to you right now as you're building your business, also let us know, because we seriously plan to take that into consideration as we move forward. And lastly, Shaan will be here tomorrow. He will be here tomorrow. So every Saturday, Shaan will be with us at 8 a.m. So I know you guys love us just as much as you love Shaan, but those that love Shaan and love to see and hear his perspective on things can engage with him via Breakfast with the Brand tomorrow morning at 8.
All right, guys. So it's been absolutely phenomenal. We will be seeing you at 8. And by the way, please feel free to send in those suggestions in terms of topics that are most relevant to you. We do this call just for you. So the more you give us feedback, the more we could tailor this to make it a phenomenal experience for you. So have a phenomenal day. If you need anything, just reach out to myself, or you could reach out to Mr. Bobby Stealth on the back end. Speak soon. Take care. Let's grow.